So, hallo, herzlich willkommen zu einer weiteren Runde Let's Play Zero Escape, 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors. Letzte Folge haben wir eine ziemlich erschreckende Entdeckung gemacht. Snake ist tot. Snake wurde augenscheinlich umgebracht wie der 9. Mann, oder zumindest ist auf die gleiche Art gestorben, gesprengt. Und jetzt schauen wir mal, wie die Geschichte da weitergeht. The squeal of tortured metal made Junpei's teeth curl. It sounded like the noise a ghost would make. How many times he heard it, he never got used to it. Every time it put him on the edge. It didn't help that there was a girl nearby who looked far more like a ghost than a living human should. It was Clover. She sat on the edge of her bed, her head drooping listlessly into her chest. Her eyes were blank and stared across the room at nothing. Her breathing was slow and mechanical. Aside from the rise and fall of her chest, she didn't move. Junpei felt as if even a nudge might cause her to shatter into 1,000 pieces.
Snake was probably murdered. Chances are he was killed the same way the 9th man was.
Seven lowered his voice, likely in an effort to keep Clover from hearing what he had to say. There were 4 other people in the room with Junpei and Seven. Ace, Sander, June, and Lotus. Seven looked at each one of them in turn, and continued.
It's pretty straightforward. Not that hard to figure out how they did it. First, the killers got Snake to authenticate on the red to open door 3. Then they shoved him into it. Alone. And waited 9 seconds for the door to shut. Once that door shut, it was all over for Snake. But he didn't give up. He probably knew it wouldn't do him any good, but he probably ran into the shower room looking for the dead. It was a small chance, but it wasn't like he had anything to lose. Unfortunately, it didn't work. The detonator is only deactivated if everybody who authenticated when they went in uses the dead. Snake was the only one who went through the door. And then, 81 seconds after he was shoved in, that happened.
I see. So that's what you meant by killers, huh? You need at least 3 people to open one of the numbered doors, including Snake. It wouldn't open for Snake and a single killer.
Yeah. That means we're looking at multiple perps here.
Junpei crossed his arms and grunted.
Well, just in case, I want to make sure. Let's say you're right. When do you think Snake was killed?
When we all split up to look for the parts for the Reds, I think. Right after that was when we noticed he was gone.
Then that means none of us have alibis. We were all off searching the rooms we'd been assigned, looking for those parts.
Yeah. That means anybody could be a killer.
Wait a minute. What are you talking about?
June seemed shocked.
How can you say that so casually? You're implying that one of us is a killer.
Well, not just one of us. If I'm right, then at least 2 of us are murderers.
Why don't you calm down a bit, Seven? What are you going to gain by being so suspicious? That's what Zero wants, you know?
What Zero wants?
Exactly. This game was set up by Zero, wasn't it? Any game has a winner and loser. Whoever makes it through door 9 is a winner, and those who don't are the losers. Zero is trying to make us fight against one another for that victory.
Then you're saying that Zero is trying to split us up by making us fight each other?
Yes. That is why we can't let ourselves fall prey to suspicion. We have to trust one another and form a strong bond of friendship. Otherwise, we'll end up ensnared by Zero's manipulations.
Then does that mean that the person who killed Snake...
Yes. Almost certainly Zero himself. If there's anyone we should doubt, it should be Zero.
Interessante Ansicht von Ace. Aber gehen wir mal weiter.
He masterminded this game and kidnapped all of us. Doesn't it seem reasonable that he would have killed Snake as well?
Good question.
Junpei hadn't really considered that.
If Zero killed Snake, then Zero is on the ship with us.
Junpei... Was Zero still in the ship with them? Da würde ich mal sagen, machen wir mal kurz einen Würfelwurf wieder. Ich habe meinen 12-seitigen. Aber vorher trinke ich kurz einen Schluck rum und ich merke gerade, wie die Kabel so ein bisschen ungünstig liegen im Moment. Es hört sich jetzt wahrscheinlich gleich etwas komisch an, weil ich das Kabel von meinen Kopfhörern ein bisschen umlegen werde und das hängt ja auch am Mikro bei mir dran. Das ist ja so ein USB-Mikro mit einem Kopfhöreranschluss. Kann sein, dass das hier sich gerade komisch angehört hat. So, jetzt ist besser. Erstmal einen Schluck trinken und dann wird gewürfelt. Wunderbar. Dabei habe ich gar nicht so viel geredet bisher. 9. Of course. Of course he was. That was obvious.
But I don't...
Zero was somewhere on the ship, but Junpei had no idea where. Junpei mumbled to himself, lost in thought.
Where could Zero be hiding?
Suddenly, everyone went very quiet. The silence was cold and clammy, and Junpei could feel it crawling across his back and around his throat. Again he heard the ghosting moaning noise. And moments later, a person who looked more ghost than human appeared. It was Clover. She looked at the floor as she spoke, and her voice was a cold monotone.
I think Zero is one of us.
Krasse Anschuldigung. Every human body in the room froze. The only sound was the muffled rustling of breath. Eyes darted from face to face. One of those faces was the face of their jailer. But who? Was he one of them? Wieder eine Entscheidung, die jetzt nicht wirklich die Story beeinflusst. Well, that's possible.
Well, that's possible.
Huh?
Like Clover said, Zero might be one of us.
What are you saying, Jumpy? Didn't you hear what Ace said?
Exactly. I said we shouldn't suspect one another for no reason.
No reason. I've got a great reason.
And what's that?
The bracelets.
He held out his left arm.
Why are the bombs in our bodies connected to the bracelets? You're all thinking Zero's hiding somewhere watching us, right? If he's doing that, then he could just detonate the bombs by remote control if someone did something they weren't supposed to. It would be a lot more precise and a lot easier. But if that's the case, then why is the bomb set off by the detonator in the bracelet?
You got a point.
I'm not done. Try applying the same ideas to the nonary game. All of the puzzles here run all by themselves. In other words, Zero doesn't have to be controlling them for the game to move forward. Why's that? Why would Zero bother to do something like that?
Junpei let the question hang in the air and looked at the others. It was Santa who answered.
So let's say you and Clover are right. Zero's one of us. If that's the case, then it'd be really hard for him to keep track of all of us or control anything remotely. That's why all the puzzles run by themselves. That's what you're getting at, right?
Yeah.
Junpei nodded.
7, when we were talking earlier, you said any one of us could be Snake's killer, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Alright then. I've got a question for you, Ace. You said something like Zero must be the one who killed Snake, right?
Yes, something like that. I can't think of any other explanation.
So what do we get if we combine those? They fit together pretty well, I think. Something like this. Whoever killed Snake is Zero. Hence, Zero is one of us.
Da muss ich mich kurz räuspern. Stellt sich nur die Frage, wenn Zero einer von denen ist, wer ist es? Da könnt ihr auch gerne Theorien in die Kommentare schreiben, aber erstmal machen wir hier mit der Geschichte weiter.
7 and Ace's theories aren't mutually exclusive. They actually complement each other pretty well. At least they do if Zero is one of us.
No one spoke. Their faces were grim, but Junpei wasn't sure if they believed him or not. Finally, Lotus spoke up.
What were his motives?
His motives?
Yes, isn't that pretty important? Why would Zero want to hide as one of us?
Oh, well, that's because...
Junpei choked. He hadn't thought of that, and he had to be honest with himself, he had no idea.
I don't know.
Lotus sighed.
Well, so much for making a persuasive argument, Junpei.
In other words, you only had circumstantial evidence.
I don't really think that's enough to go on, you know?
Junpei was painfully aware of their eyes on him, and their disapproval. He tried to find something else, anything else, to look at. Then, in that horrible silence, they heard a bell begin to ring. It was the clock at the central staircase.
It's 3 in the morning.
That means we have 3 hours left.
Then we need to move now. Seven, Clover, Junpei, I know how you feel, but you do understand that right now it's important we trust one another, don't you?
You're right, but...
Junpei couldn't bring himself to respond. He swallowed the words he wanted to say and sighed. Seven and Clover remained similarly silent. Their eyes were looking at something somewhere else, very far away.
We must go. We have very little time left.
Ace's words put their feet to moving. They all knew where they were going.
Our next destination is... Mercury.
But maybe you and June should check it out first and then report back to us.
Alright, let's go, June.
Right. Here it is.
It said, bolted to the wall near the stairs that led to the casino and the kitchen between the 2 elevators.
The Mercury card reader.
We're using the card 7 gave us, right?
Yeah,
I found it when we were checking out the shower room.
I think 7 said something like that. Anyway, let's see what happens.
Junpei slipped the card through the reader. The light on the reader turned green and made a tiny electronic noise.
I guess the elevator works now.
Jumpy, I know it's only the 2 of us, but let's do our best.
What's with you all of a sudden?
Well, I'm happy we were put together.
You know it's just for searching E-Deck, right?
Even so, I'm glad I'm with you.
Oh. First, we need to find out if the elevator comes up full of water.
Just like we did before.
Oh, here it is.
I knew it. It's not wet at all.
Let's go.
Yes.
Once it had been checked for water, Junpei and June stepped into the elevator.
Look! Nearly all of the buttons are destroyed.
Yeah, only the seat and bottom button can be pushed.
We're on C deck right now, so the only one we can choose is bottom.
Yeah. Well, let's try it out.
Da geht's jetzt wohl wirklich in den Bauch des Schiffs. Der Junpei hit the bottom button, hätte ich noch vorlesen müssen, Entschuldigung. The door closed. Slowly they began to move downward.
Oh, so this is the bottom deck.
They stepped off and saw that the hallway to their right ended somewhere between 20 and 25 feet from them. The hallway in front of them was a dead end. But not a regular dead end.
Hey, over there.
This is a numbered door.
This is the 8th one we found. There were 2 numbered doors on B deck near the central staircase. They were doors 4 and 5. 3 more in the large hospital room. Doors 3, 7, and 8.
And the door we found on E deck, and the door Lotus and Santa found on A deck. It was a 6 on the door on E deck, and a 1 on the door on A deck.
4, 5, 3, 7, 8, 6, 1. And now door 2 stood in front of Junpei.
That means...
Do you think the next door we find?
Yeah, I think so. The next one's gonna be door 9.
Despite himself, Junpei felt excited. There was something about that excitement that frightened him as well.
Finally!
Yeah,
You don't look very happy about it, though.
it's not that. I just hope nothing goes wrong.
You're right. We should keep our fingers crossed.
Let's head back.
Okay.
He did his best to put it from his mind and headed back to C deck with June.
1, 2, 3, 4. All right, 7 pieces.
The pieces of paper they'd folded up lay on the ground next to Junpei's legs. Everyone had written on paper, pulled from Junpei's notebook in an effort to pull together a blind vote.
Just double checking, but everyone wrote their code name and a door number they want, right?
Yes, just like you told us earlier.
Can't believe we're voting here.
Why had they decided to vote that way?
We need to make the whole thing fair, blah-de-blah. This is a complicated plan, you know. Hurry it up, Mr. I have a brilliant idea.
They decided it wasn't fair to simply ask everyone at once. That would allow people to force others to go through certain doors.
Yeah, quiet in the peanut gallery.
And he had a plan. It wasn't a plan he wanted anyone catching wind of, however, so he did his best to act calm as he began to open and read the pieces of paper.
All right, let's open these up. The first one says, Ace requests door 1.
Yes, I do. Would you like me to explain why?
No, we don't have time for that. Sorry. Let's keep going.
He opened the second one.
Next is Santa. He wants door 6.
Yeah, that's what I wrote.
Junpei continued with the third, fourth, and fifth pieces of paper.
Clover wants 1, Lotus wants 2, and 7 also wants 2.
Wait a minute. There is no way I'm going anywhere with the Elephant Man.
Schöne Bezeichnung.
No, there'd be no point to the voting if we let people change their choices because of stuff like that.
But...
Just give it up, Lotus. It's not like I want to hang out with some exhibitionist grandma.
Nicht unbedingt besser gerade.
I am not an exhibitionist. I'm wearing clothes.
Barely.
So, last I checked, that's not a crime.
Maybe. But what about common decency? Nobody wants to have to look at a chick who looks like a half-naked raisin.
Aua. Also gerade, ich muss sagen, die beiden im Gespräch sind schon klasse. Moment, ich trinke mal kurz einen Schluck. Also man muss sagen, Lotus ist ja eine, die, ich weiß gar nicht, ob das erwähnt wurde, also die ist auf jeden Fall schon was älter. Jetzt nicht 50 oder sowas, aber die dürfte wahrscheinlich Ende 30 sein, vielleicht Anfang 40. Und dafür hat sie sich, ja gut, das ist ein Anime-Charakter, aber sie hat sich gut gehalten. Als Seven ist keine Ahnung. Aber weiter, die halbnackte Rosine, super. Entschuldigung, dass ich da jetzt gerade so ein bisschen dieses Gespräch unterbreche.
Oh, I'm gonna kill you!
Oops. Lotus's hair flared out like the mane of an angry lion and
not good.
she roared with a voice that shook the walls. Lass mich doch ausreden, Ace.
Let go! Let go of me! I'm killing him!
With some difficulty, Ace managed to restrain her.
Junpei, read the rest.
Right.
Junpei tore his eyes away and looked down at the sixth piece of paper. He opened it.
June wants door 6.
Yes, I don't really have a reason. I just felt like it.
All of the papers save Junpei's had been read. He did some quick calculations in his head.
So this was everyone's vote. Ace and Clover requested door 1.
This was the door in A deck near the central staircase.
7 and Lotus requested door 2.
This was the door on the bottom deck and could be reached by taking the elevator to the bottom of the ship.
Santa and June requested door 6.
This was the door on E deck and could be reached by taking the elevator near the central staircase down.
Then the door I should choose is...
It took him less than a second to run the numbers. He opened the 7th piece of paper and spoke.
Okay, the last one is mine.
Und hier mache ich einen Schnitt. Entschuldigung, dass diesmal die Folge nur 20 Minuten lang ist. Und ja, auch wenn die Situation der Folge eigentlich schon scheiße anfing, ich sag mal, das Ende war ja doch etwas fröhlicher. Zumindest lustiger. Mit Lotus, die halt Seven an die Kehle geht, aber ja, lustig. Die halbnackte Rosine. Super. Was wollte ich sagen? Ach ja. Ihr könnt natürlich eure Meinung in die Kommentare schreiben. Gehört Zero wirklich zu den Charakteren? Oder beobachtet er es doch von außen? Ich meine, es gab ja schon eine Durchsage von Zero. Und wenn Zero einer von den Leuten ist, wer ist es? Ich meine, es stehen noch 7 zur Auswahl. Wobei streng genommen gab es ja noch 2 andere, aber die sind jetzt wohl tot. Aber wird Zero sich selbst auf die Art umbringen? Wäre sehr seltsam. Allerdings spricht sie ja durchaus dafür, dass die, also ich sag mal, dass Zero einer der Charaktere ist, der spricht zumindest für, dass wirklich alles hier komplett ohne sein Zutun läuft. Aber wer soll Zero sein? Ace? Lotus? Santa? Junpei selbst? Na, das wäre jetzt der übelste Plot-Twist. Naja. Vielleicht sogar Clover. Wer weiß. Aber lasst mal eure Ideen in den Kommentaren. Wer könnte das sein und warum? Wenn ihr es wisst. Also richtig gespoilert bitte nicht. Wenn, dann tarnt es wenigstens als Theorie. Ja. Das war's dann für diese Folge. Es bleibt spannend. Es geht wieder in einen Escape Room. Und in welchen, das werden wir sehen. Und wenn wir einen bestimmten finden, kommen wir sogar an ein ganz bestimmtes Ende, das man sonst nicht erreicht normalerweise. Also wir haben da die Story-Checks für geschafft. Andernfalls, ja, wir sind also gar nicht mehr so weit weg vom ersten Ende. Das kann ich ja schon mal verraten. Ich meine, es kommt jetzt noch ein Escape Room und danach kommt ein Ende. Gut, also dann, bis zum nächsten Mal. Cheerio!